In this video we all are gonna go through the creepy texts of haunting demeanor that I have encountered while surfing Reddit. But before continuing, let me announce the fact that I am thinking of starting videos where I will read out your creepy encounters or hauntings. And if any one of you is really interested, then please send me your encounters at the said mail account given in the description box. So let's continue to the video. Number 1. What was on the other side of the door? This was way back in 2006, when I was preparing for a competitive exam. I lived in an apartment with my parents and would be holed up in my room all day, studying. In the evenings, I would go upstairs to the shared building terrace to get some fresh air and listen to music. I would normally spend a couple of hours there and then head back in time for dinner. The walking area of the terrace was U-shaped, and the narrow part was where we had the padlocked entrance door. All residents had a key and we were expected to lock it again when leaving. One evening, I went upstairs as usual and felt a creepy vibe right from when I entered. I had a constant feeling of being watched and kept glancing around to see if someone else was walking with me. There was one part of the terrace where the light wouldn't reach, and I remember being extremely creeped out of that spot. On any other day, I didn't care about it much, but this particular day was different. Nevertheless, I kept walking for a while, avoiding the spot, and then decided to go back downstairs. I closed the door, slid the manual latch and hung the padlock. While I was in the process of finding the key, there were 3 loud knocks on the other side of the door, i.e. from the terrace that I just came out of. But I could swear there was no one there when I left. I was too scared to open the door and check, so I ran downstairs and told my mom about what had happened. She dismissed it as a product of my tired mind and came upstairs with me to check if I had latched someone in. All of this happened within seconds, so if someone had unlocked the door and come down, we would have heard or seen them. When we opened the door, there was no one inside. The building does not have any history, and no one has ever experienced anything like this before, so I'm unsure what to make of it. It still remains a mystery to me. Number 2. Dark ride. This is my account of the only real, scary occurrence in my life. It was mid-October, 1992. I was riding home on my motorcycle from seeing some friends. It was late in the evening/early morning hours of that chilly, fall weekend in Central California. I had made my turn off of the county freeway, onto a less than well-lit county road. I remember that the road ahead was deserted, no headlights coming towards me, nor any taillights in my rear view mirrors. The road was encompassed with large, walnut groves on each side. The huge trees and land swallowed the distance ahead in complete darkness. I was clipping along at about 50 miles per hour when my eyes caught the jogger up ahead of me, on my right side. My mind quickly thought, how odd, wondering why someone would be out here jogging at this time of year, at this hour of the night. As I approached him, I gradually moved to the middle of the road to give the jogger space. I touched on my brights so he'd see me approaching. Now, understand this. At first, in my mind there was nothing out of the ordinary, other than the timing of the situation. A hooded runner, heather gray sweats, a figure about 6 foot tall, jogging along the shoulder of a deserted, county road, at midnight, in October. As I approached him, at a safe distance of maybe 100 feet away, bright headlight blazing, I saw him, or should I say, it, stumble. I fully expected the figure to fall, sprawling face down into the plowed dirt. But it didn't. It did fall to the ground on all fours, but very quickly and with amazing agility, it began running. Like an animal. On all fours. Like a wild animal. Mind you, I was riding at a regular speed at this point, maybe 55 miles per hour. But the hooded human form that I'd watched become a hooded animal was keeping pace with me for a moment. Then, as if it sensed that it had been discovered, it sped off to its right, into the pitch-black walnut grove. My blood ran cold. I downshifted out of instinct, and throttled hard. I was gone. All I could think of at that split second, was that thing, that animal, might suddenly pop up in my rearview mirror, with some horrific, maniacal, grimaced face, right before ending me. Before I knew it, I was 5 miles down that road and my speedometer read 100 miles per hour. Just before I made my final, right turn towards home, I brought my courage up to look into the rearview. Nothing, there was just pitch black behind me. Whatever it was gone. Shakingly, I made my last turn, and didn't look back again until I pulled into my garage and closed the door. To this day, now 31 years later, I can tell that true story and my listeners will react with complete disbelief. Some believe me, others don't. What was it? A person? An animal? A shapeshifter? A skinwalker? Or something of a combination of all those? You decide. Number 3, what did I encounter on my family's land? I wouldn't consider myself a very spiritual person, but I have no explanation for what I encountered on my family's property and was hoping someone had an answer as to whether or not this was some kind of spirit or entity. My family has around 360 acres in northern Oklahoma that has been in our family since the land rush. Growing up, the family would meet there for Thanksgiving and Christmas, but as the family expanded, it was quickly outgrown. Nowadays, I'm about the only person that goes there, and I went there regularly to train with my firearms. I went there earlier this year and had an experience that shook me so badly, that I haven't spoken about it until recently and will never go back there alone. I arrived around 2 p.m. and set up my targets, but something felt off. I use an electronic headset for hearing protection that also amplifies ambient noise, and I noticed that everything seemed to stop. No wind, no bugs, no birds, nothing. Just complete and total silence, which is very unusual for the area. I run my normal drills, and as the sun starts to set, things get stranger. Odd smells, like a dirty litter box plus body odor, started coming around, and I noticed that the coyotes were crossing the field west of me, almost as if they were intentionally avoiding entering the woods nearby. Then, I started hearing interference coming over my headset, and what sounded like disembodied voices speaking in an indiscernible language. Now, I'm starting to worry. I start gathering my things, and I hear what sounds like a woman's blood-curdling screams coming from the woods. Around the same time, I got what I can only describe as a nauseating, omnidirectional feeling of being watched, shortly followed by very distinct footsteps trudging through the foliage in the tree line approximately 30 yards from my position. I've been an avid hunter since childhood and familiar with noises of the woods, and the cadence of the footsteps were indicative of a large, bipedal creature oddly human-like. I pull my phone out to take video, and I start scanning the tree line with my flashlight. Standing behind a tree at the edge of the tree line, was a tall, black silhouette with spindly limbs and a pale face, looking directly at me. I managed to capture a great still image of it from the video that I will try to find and attach. I quickly grabbed my range bag and made a run towards my truck. I get about 50 yards from the truck, and the light post on our property, that is hooked up to county power and has never turned off in the 20 years I've been going here, suddenly cuts off. Now, I'm blindly running in the direction I believe my truck is in while I hit the unlock button on my fob to find the lights. I get in my truck, speed off, and as I'm watching in the rear view, the light post turns back on. I apologize for the long post, but I'm finally ready to get this out in the open for interpretation. I tend to think of myself as a rational person that doesn't necessarily believe in the woo kind of stuff. Although, my mother described me as being sensitive and somewhat gravitated towards energies as a child. I was doing everything I could to rationalize or come up with a reasonable explanation for the things I was experiencing, but I have no explanation. The kind of fear this experience put into me was unlike any kind of fear I'd ever felt.